Today's video is going to be about toe pads and different accessories that you can use for your pointe shoes. A lot of you just think there's ouch pouches available, or you're not really informed about the various items that you can use for different reasons in your pointe shoes. There are also other things I'm going to speak about regarding healthy feet in pointe shoes, such as if you've got a second longer toe, if you've got bunions, anything like that I'm going to go over with you. I've brought various accessories over the years for various different reasons, and of course because I do pointe shoe fitting myself, I have to have different accessories to help other dancers too. So let me just go through the basics first. If you're new to pointe shoes, you're going to take some time to figure out what you're going to wear in your pointe shoe. Now, some teachers are quite old school in the fact that they like the dancers to wear nothing in their pointe shoes. Now, I feel that's pretty crazy. If you think about years ago, you had like lamb's wool and nothing really else available. That's fair enough. But we're in the modern age now, and I feel that dancers should have the opportunity to wear what they want to wear and feel comfortable whilst they're on pointe. After all, it's all about having a healthy foot that's going to help you be able to dance pain-free, and if you're going into a professional career in dance, then it's important that you look after your feet well. When I fit pointe shoes, I like to start with minimal padding first. I like to get a shoe that fits correctly and gives a really good hugging kind of fit. Now, the reason you want to start minimal and work your way up is the idea is you want to find a shoe that works best for you. Then you'll see like problems and areas such as maybe you've got bunions that you need to deal with or a troublesome toe. Then you can kind of go from there really. As you go on from your first pointe shoes, you'll begin to feel what you need in a shoe. And it's all down to personal preference. There's no right or wrong way. It's all about figuring out what works best for you. So let's go ahead and show you now some selection of toe pads. The most common type of toe pad you'll come across is by a company called Bunheads, and they do the ouch pouch. This here, which I'm about to show you, is the ouch pouch junior. The junior is cut in a way that it's kind of, there's no back to it. Can you see that there? Now, it's all about personal preference, because when I first tried these I didn't really like them. I didn't like the shape very much. They come in different sizes. I currently wear these when I've got shoes that are dying. I don't wear them when I've got new shoes because I can't deal with the bulk. They are quite thick and they're reversible as well. You can get them in other colours too. The problem I find with these types of toe pads is they're not really cut low enough, so they tend to stick out of the shoe and you can see them even when you wear them under tights. So I did find, however, a toe pad that I preferred to fit dancers in, which is by Cat's company, and it's cut a lot lower, as you can see there, and it basically means that it's not going to show in the pointe shoe and not poke out. It has got the back, and it's like got really nice seams, so you're not going to feel that seam digging into your toes, which with some toe pads I feel you do, and they feel a bit baggy around the sides, and you tend to get blisters because they start to rub against your foot in the shoe. So it's important to get the correctly fitting toe pads. They all come in different sizes, well most brands do anyway. So going on from there, you've also got the standard ouch pouch, which is probably the first one that Bunheads brought out. As you can see, this one hasn't got any kind of style to it here. It's just kind of one line, and this does poke out of pointe shoes, I've found. And again, you've got the underlayer of fabric which has gel. So this again is covered with gel. Again, it's reversible. I sometimes wear these, but they're not my favourite personally. Again, with these kind of toe pads, they do last quite well. They don't tend to moult or anything, or the gel doesn't seem to erode because they're protected by a material fabric over the top. You've then got the advanced toe pad, which a few brands have brought out, such as Bunheads, Tondu, Block, and other brands out there. So it's quite a generic style, but a lot of brands have brought it out. You do tend to get a lot of companies copying the design of one toe pad that someone else has brought out. This is the advanced one. This is one of my favourites. This one's by Tondu. It's got no gel underneath, so it's just got the fabric there, no gel. And it's got the gel on the top half and under the toe. The seam's really nice and it lies really nice and flat on the foot. It is quite high cut here, but I don't seem to get it to poke out of my shoe. These are quite thin, so they will take a while to get used to unless you're already used to wearing like nothing in your pointe shoe and prefer to feel the floor. If you're new to pointe, feeling the floor is basically when you're basically on pointe but you can feel what you're doing. Whereas if you're wearing a thicker toe pad, you kind of don't feel the same kind of feeling that you get when you're wearing a thinner one. That's the best way to describe it. A key thing to remember here is when you're fitting for pointe shoes, make sure that if you're going to change toe pad down the line, you go and get a refit. Because sometimes you'll be fitted for a shoe in a certain width and it'll be there to accommodate the size of the padding that you're wearing and your tights. Whereas if you change to say a thicker toe pad, then you may find the width of the shoe that you're in will no longer fit and be extremely tight and cause bunions or blisters or bruised toenails. So always make sure if you're going to change your padding, go for a refit. And again, if you change to a thinner toe pad, a refit is ideal because again you're going to end up maybe sinking in the shoe and hurting your toenails, and it's just not going to support you as well as it did with a thicker toe pad. Then we've got something called Jellos. These are made by Pillows for Points, which are an American company I believe. They don't tend to last as long. The reason being is they've got fabric on the outside. They're very low cut and they're quite tricky to get on because they tend to move around a lot. And then you've got the gel underneath. Can you see that there? It's very dirty and gross. Do apologise. As you can see, I've worn a hole where the big toe part was, and that's due to wearing them a lot. The idea with this style is you're meant to put talc on them before you put them on. You can wear them on bare feet, under tights or over tights, whichever you prefer. But they do tend to erode, so do make sure that you talc them and wash them on a regular basis. That's another important thing. If you're going to wear toe pads often, make sure you wash them because they do get really stinky and they also harbour bacteria. And of course, the more bacteria that is living on your toe pads, the more likely you're going to get an infection in your feet and your toenails. So it's a key thing to remember. In fact, I did make a little video about that, which I'll put up soon. So these are quite popular actually, but despite the fact that they erode quite fast, they also have a tendency to feel very thick. I wore them for a little while, but I personally only wear them now if I really need to and I've got a bad toe or something, because they are quite bulky and feel a bit too much, but that's my own opinion. You might be different. So just show you them there. They're quite dirty, so yeah. As you can see, I've had many different toe pads over the years, mainly because I'm trying to find one I liked best, and of course it does vary. Next up we have, this is the worst one of them all. This is by Capizio. This was made a few years back I believe, and it was called Tipsies. They feel like rubber, but they're extremely thick. They're kind of rectangular and they're the most horrendous toe pads I've ever come across. You can cut them to size like all other toe pads, but I really don't recommend them. Let's show you them. Can you see how disgusting they are? They are just absolutely weird. Just show you inside. They're just really bizarre. I just don't understand how anyone could wear these, because they're not very flexible, and wearing them in a shoe, it just feels like you're wearing an extra layer of shoe, if that makes any sense. So they for me didn't work. I'd love to know if they've worked for anyone, so if you wear these, let me know. Next up we have, well, I've got another pair of Jellos here. This is a smaller version. They come in small and large, I think. So if you're a smaller foot, say, well, seems to have a lot of different viewers. If like you're a UK, say a 3, probably best. I mean, I'm a 3 to 4 and they worked for me. I've also got this pair, which is the silicone pair. This is another popular style. Personally, again, I find them too thick and I just don't feel they're very flexible. Here they are here. As you can see, this pair is quite round cut. Let's see if I can show you inside. They're just pure silicone basically. And they're kind of front and back with a bit of a thicker kind of feel in the toe. I feel they're too bulky. And I also feel they kind of chafe. They don't, because I've got a very narrow foot. I have to have something that's really going to mould to my foot well in the shoe. If it doesn't, then it tends to rub and then I get a blister. I do come across a lot of people wearing these, but personally I just don't feel you need something this thick. Unless, of course, you're used to it and you can't pull yourself away. This is why when I meet people new to Pointe, I try to get them used to wearing as little as possible and a thinner toe pad or just a standard ouch pouch, because if you get used to wearing something this thick, then it's very unlikely you're going to be able to steer yourself away from it in the future. And it also means that you're potentially going up 2 whips in a Pointe shoe to accommodate for the thick padding, which is a bit silly when you could get a shoe that really fits you well. Next up we have, I can't actually remember what these are called. They're by an American company. They're thin little toe pads with gel on the outside, kind of similar to Jellos, with fabric on the other side. They're like little half socks. I can't remember the name unfortunately, but they're by an American company. I think they're made by Dance Techs, who make toe jams, which I really like. This one I've cut down to size. However, for me, I found that they moved around too much. But they're quite thin, so if you like a thinner toe pad and like a half sock kind of style, then these may work well for you. Just show you close up. As you can see. I've also got a smaller kind of version of an ouch pouch here, which is a really tiny style. I don't really see this in the shops anymore, but they are really small. They're like suitable for like a UK tour, I would say. Just show you them there. They're really diddy. They have the same kind of cut as an ouch pouch junior, but they're just really, really small. But again, these are reversible. So they're no good for me, but I have some lamb's wool here. This comes, you can get this in just like the pharmacy department or online. You can also buy it by bunheads in a colourful tube. I did have some somewhere. I tend to keep it in like a little freezer bag. This is good when you've got a certain toe that needs a bit more padding. You can pop that in the ouch pouch as well, or you can just wrap your toes individually in it. Some dancers just wear lamb's wool. It's quite mouldable and it's of course flexible, and it's not going to feel too bulky either, so you may want to experiment with that. I just want to show you some tips now about big toe pain. It's the most common problem with Pointe shoe wearing, and it's usually due to either a combination of toenails that are too long, toenails that are too short, ingrown toenails, the Pointe shoe style not being right for the dancer, or the shoe being too wide and causing them to sink in the shoe. I've had various combinations of problems with my big toes, and I'm prone to ingrown toenails. I've also got slight bunions, so I wear these amazing things, which are by Dance Techs, and they're called toe jams. These are made from a nice gel and they're reversible, but you do want to make sure that you talc them before and after use, because as you can see, you do get erosion on where the toe's been. It's not a problem, you can just put a bit of lamb's wool in the end to help it last longer. These are again by an American company, and they're quite hard to get hold of. In America I suppose they're easier to get hold of, but here in the UK they're quite tricky. They cover the bunion area here, which is really good if you're suffering from light bunions or any kind of pain in the bunion area. But do remember that you will then have this bit of gel covering the bunion area, so you will maybe need to go up a width in Pointe shoe, especially if you're wearing a toe pad over the top. At present I wear these, and usually the advanced toe pad. Then if my shoe's dying, I then convert over to an ouch pouch junior. They also come in an option for the tailor's bunion, which is on the side of the foot where the pinky toe is. That's also a common area to get a bunion. It's called a bunionette. Again, if you're getting those, I recommend wearing the version that covers that area. Now, if you're the kind of dancer that has one toe longer than the other, this, I mean, when you have the big toe is a normal length, but the second toe after that is longer, it's a very common problem. You will find that going on pointe can be a little tricky, and you will need to wear something to even the length out. What a lot of dancers do is they take a makeup wedge, like this, and they basically cut a piece off and stick it onto their big toe with toe tape to make it the same length as the second toe to even out the length in the shoe. Or you can also put whatever you can think of inside the pointe shoe to even out that length. There's actually various methods that dancers do with the second toe problem, but that is a common one. Or they also use a big tip or a gel toe sock. Now these things here I brought ages ago, I can't even remember where from. They're like a thin kind of toe pad that you wrap around your toe and you kind of tuck it under. I think that's the best way to describe it really. They kind of look like a pointe shoe inlay thing that you change the width of the pointe shoe. They're really bizarre and they're really lightweight, but I just couldn't get used to them. I don't really know anyone who wears these, but if you do, I would be interested to hear from you. Show you them there. As you can see, there's loads of different options. I just want to speak about the fact that professional dancers, ballerinas, tend to wear nothing in their pointe shoes, or they wear like kind of really crazy things like cut up dishcloths. I've heard of people cutting off the like toe part of socks and just wearing that, or sometimes they just wear toe tape. And you do get professionals wear like ouch pouches too. It's all down to personal preference, so don't think that because you're not wearing like nothing in your shoe that you're not hardcore enough, because that isn't the case. It's all about finding what works for you. So don't be put off by thinking, oh well, if I want to be a ballerina then I must not wear, you know, nothing in my shoe, because that's just crazy. Do what works for you and what's going to keep your feet healthy. That's a really important part. This is what toe tape looks like. This is the bunheads one. It comes in a big roll. It's like a crepe tape. So you just basically tear a bit off and stick it on your toes where you need it. It does have a tendency to slip off, so I recommend not having any lotions or oils on your feet before you put this on. And particularly on sweaty days, you may find that it will come off easier. It comes in a big roll like this. And it does last forever. There are other toe tapes you can get, such as microporous tape, and the toe tape that's thicker and kind of foamy. I can't remember what it's called, but Gain & Minden sell it, and you can also buy it in medical supply shops. Now Gain & Minden brought out various things for changing pointe shoe fitting. So for example, if their brand of pointe shoes didn't fit you correctly in like length, like you felt like you needed a bit of a booster, they like sold these sock liner things. Personally, I feel this kind of stuff, you know, why not just find a pointe shoe that fits you best rather than having to keep changing shoe around. I can understand needing to change like a width if you're in between widths, but all this kind of extra stuff is just silly. Why not just go find a brand that works for you rather than messing with a shoe constantly that just isn't working. So these are the sock liners, a bit dirty as you can see. They also sold the Totally Toes kit, which is actually quite good. I've got this box of bits here, which I take when I do pointe shoe fitting. The bits they sell that other brands do sell too, so don't think they're the only company. They have these little half crescents, they're gel. These sit in the bottom of the pointe shoe to help with toe pain. They then have the full crescent version, which is a bit thicker. It's nice and flat. Let's just get closer. And these things are good if you feel that the platform of your pointe shoe is dying or you need a bit of help with any toe pain. Grishko also sell them. I carry them myself. I've got the blue version, which is for bigger sizes. And they do a pink version too. These are nice and thick and squidgy. However, you can feel that sometimes when you wear these in your shoes, they have a tendency to move around, so be quite careful, kind of give them a trial run before you wear them on stage or anything like that. Now if you have any blisters on your pinky toes, first of all you want to check that your shoes are fitting correctly and they're not dying or they're like the wrong box shape, whatever else. But after doing that, if you've still got the issue, then you might want to try these little jelly tubes. They're little hollow gel toe sock things that you can put over the toes that are getting affected. So like this. And they're quite handy. However, they are a bit bulky, so I find that sometimes if I wear these, they tend to fill out the pointe shoe a bit more. I do know dancers that do like them though, and you can also get them in various versions from like healthcare stores and, you know, like drugstores. So these ones have got fabric on the outside and gel on the inside. Just pop this on my finger to show you. Like that. Like I was saying about the Big Tip by Bunheads, which is this one here, it also comes in a more rounded version. It's got gel on the inside and fabric on the outside. You can get them from podiatry places too, like this one here. They're really handy for any big toe pain, but bear in mind they might feel that they're pushing your toes over a bit, so you may find that they might affect the current width of your pointe shoes you already have. This is another thing going to Minden sell, which is the little mushroom toe pads. They're just like fabric and foam and they sit in the bottom of the pointe shoe. Let's talk about toe spacers. Now I've currently only got ones that you wear between your big toe and second toe, which help with alignment of the toes and helping with pressure on the bunion joint, which are these ones. But they do sell thinner ones that go between other toes too. As you can see, they are a bit bulky, but you can get various different styles. I meant to wear them, but I just can't get on with them. I find them too bulky. I don't like the feeling of a lump of gel between my big toe and second toe. It kind of just feels a bit alien to me. I have tried, but personally they're not for me. Now, as with all things, prevention is better than cure. So always make sure that you've got a correct fitting pointe shoe and that you go for fittings often. So if you've got a pair of pointe shoes, they last you, say, I don't know, if you're lucky enough to get them to last 4 months, it's important that you go for another fitting because, you know, feet do change, your strength changes, and you may have like problem areas that need help. However, if you find that due to wearing high heels or other footwear you've got blisters and you've got a pointe class and you need something quick that's going to fix it, well, not necessarily fix it but help the pain, I really recommend Pointe blister plasters. There are other brands available. These are fantastic. If you haven't seen a blister plaster before, they're basically like a gel plaster and they stick incredibly well to the point that they are waterproof. So they're not going to come off when you sweat, they're not going to like chafe in your shoe, and they provide really good comfort. I tend to suffer with corns on my little toes, mainly due to the fact that I wear a lot of high heels when I really shouldn't be. The corn plasters come in this kind of size, and the idea is you take the back off and you place it around the area and then you pull the rest of the sticker off, if that makes sense. There should be some videos on here to help you with that, but they're really great, nice and easy to carry around, and they come in this little plastic box, which is also handy to store them in. I recommend, if you're going to go for a lot of them, buy them in bulk on eBay because they're so much cheaper. If you go in the UK, a box of these, which has, I don't know, I think it's 6 plasters, I think it sets you back about £5.99, which is quite a lot of money, especially if you're going to be wearing them a lot. So do buy them in bulk on eBay if you want to save some cash. Another common problem with dancers who get blisters with pointe shoes is they tend to get them on the back of their heels. To stop this, you can wear a corn plaster. Try not to get the ones with the acid in them because that'll hurt. Just get the little ring versions. These ones are smaller versions, but you can get different sizes. Show you. They usually come on a sticky sheet like this and you just peel them off. The idea with these, with a blister you've already got, is it will stop the pressure from a normal kind of blister plaster or other plaster, and it's got a little hole in the middle. So imagine the blister is going to be placed in the middle. You're going to basically stop the pressure from being applied directly onto the blister, which is what you want to do, enable to get it to heal quicker. Another key thing to remember is using Epsom salts for a hot bath, for a foot bath, or just to soak your whole body in is another great thing to do after a class and a performance, because it will get rid of the toxins from your body, and it will also help to heal muscles, and of course salt is excellent on any kind of blisters you may have. So that's another top tip. Another great thing you can get, which helps if you're in between whips of a pointe shoe or if your pointe shoe's got too wide and is dying, is these little pointe shoe inlay things called size changers. Now, a few brands do them, but this one in particular has a bit on the toe as well, which is quite handy with the platform styling. I'm currently wearing them in this pair, because this pair well, they are actually dead now, but I've got a bit more wear out of them. And because I had a double X in width, and I'm sometimes in between a single X and a double X, these really help me out. They are a little hard to get used to at first, but once you've got the hang of them, they're quite cool. As you can see, they just pop into the shoe like that. You may find, however, that wearing these with a normal ouch pouch is a bit much, so it's best to go down a little bit in an ouch pouch size. I'm pretty sure I've covered as much options as I can regarding toe pads. Remember, the best way to actually find what you're most comfortable in is just to go ahead and try as many different options out as you can. If you're comfortable in whatever you're wearing now, then why change? You know, don't fix something that's not broken. If you need any help or advice, feel free to email me. If you would like to have a pointe shoe fitting by me, then you can. I'm based in Essex and London, but I do travel all around. You can find my details on www.straighttothepointe.net and my Facebook, facebook.com/tothepointefitting. I'm also on Instagram and everything else. Just check out the box below for all my links. And remember, if you do have a very bad pain issue with your pointe shoes, such as really bad excruciating toe pain or something like that, then remember, it's not always down to the shoe. It can be down to a problem with your actual foot. So do seek medical help if you're feeling that something isn't quite right. I've had times where I've had an ingrown toenail and not been aware of it, or times where I've had such a bad corn that nothing's helping it, so I've had to go to a podiatrist to get it sorted out. Or it can be the shoe as well, so do make sure you check the shoe out, get someone who knows what they're doing with pointe shoes to help you with that. Go for another fitting perhaps to see if your shoe has died in some weird way, or you may need a different shoe altogether. It's really important to make sure that you go through all the kind of things that could be causing the pain that you're going through. I know how frustrating it can be if you've got a toe in particular that just isn't healing, if you've had a bruised toenail, if your toenail has fallen off, which I've also had. It is incredibly annoying because you feel like you're never going to get a new toenail, and you feel like you're just going to be in this constant pain and never be comfortable on pointe again. But I can tell you now, it does get better. You've just got to persist, and you've got to be very patient and take really good care, and then eventually, you know, you'll be back to being practically pain-free on pointe. That's another thing I want to mention is the stereotype of pointe shoes being uncomfortable and, you know, it being kind of like a torture device. That isn't what it's meant to be like. A correct fitting pointe shoe will not feel, I mean, come on, it's not meant to be pain-free pointe work, but it's not meant to be painful. You're not meant to feel that you're in constant agony and that you're not looking forward to actually dancing on pointe. So, you know, if you do feel that you've had a fitting and it's not right, maybe go somewhere else. I've been to various places where they've fitted me in the wrong shoes. Time and time again, I've wasted so much money, and it was all down to the fact that people were putting me in square shoes when I've got a tapered foot configuration, and also down to the fact that they was putting me in the wrong shank and the wrong vamp length. So make sure that you find somewhere that you're happy with getting your shoes and you know they're going to do a good job. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to my channel.